Let's hear it.
Start the show with a question. Tiki Barber, let's say the last 10, 20, we're going to go 30 years here. In your opinion, Tiki, who is the most calculated New York athlete?
Calculated,
Yep. Calculated New York athlete that we've been exposed to.
meaning,
in your opinion,
measuring everything that he says.
Everything's measured.
Worried about
yes.
his. So it's not a football player because we're idiots. I'm gonna say it's not a basketball player because they don't care at all. They make too much money. Even the guys that
limiting the field here.
Yeah.
Smart move.
I'm going to say Derek Jeter.
Bingo. You nailed it.
Oh, nice.
Wow. I didn't think you could actually get that on the first try.
I know how you feel about Derek Jeter and what he doesn't like to say.
Show's over. He got it right. We'll see you later. All right, so I think we can all agree that he is the most calculated New York athlete we've seen in a long time.
And you're not saying that in a bad way.
No.
You're just saying it is what it is way.
It's very rarely off the cuff. Everything was, regurgitation about the team, very vanilla. Never put himself out there. And I say that because last night Derek Jeter said something that is incredibly interesting. And that is,
I wouldn't mind seeing the Yankees go out and get Juan Soto.
Oh,
wow. Especially, you don't know how long Judge is going to be out. They need some offense. I think it makes sense.
okay. Let me just tell everybody something. Derek Jeter is not saying that without some inside intel.
Yeah, I mean,
He is not bringing that to the table when he's been on the job for basically a week, even though they trotted him out, whatever, during the Super Bowl.
started with a bang.
He started with a bang, but I don't think he was looking to start with a hollow, contrived bang.
No.
That, to me, is rooted in reality, which tells me that the Yankees are going after Soto, which I love. And I'll take it a step further because you're probably going to come back. I already know what you're going to say. I think I know what you're going to say. If it's Juan Soto, then he could kiss any prospects of Ohtani goodbye.
Yeah.
And I am for the Yankees, Soto over Ohtani. Let's go.
Okay, so let's get rid of the conversation we had yesterday where we're talking about Shohei Ohtani and going to the Mets. Steve Cohen, don't go down looking like he did with Aaron Judge. Start swinging for Shohei Ohtani. And in that conversation, we talked about how the Yankees weren't really, in our estimation, in this conversation. But if you're going to go after a Juan Soto, who you're going to end up paying a ton of money, not nearly the Shohei Ohtani money, then we have to consider that it's Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani, right? So let's agree with that. So forget the conversation about the Yankees yesterday we had. This is about Juan Soto versus Shohei Ohtani. To me, this is not even a conversation. If that is the option on the table for the Yankees, and now when I think about the Yankees, because they're 6 games over 500, they're still in it. The American League is not necessarily a bunch of world beaters. And if you can go get Shohei Ohtani right now, if you're the Yankees or Juan Soto, it's not even a question. You're going to get Shohei Ohtani.
Nope.
Not even a question.
I'm not. I don't know if Ohtani wants to come here. I know that Juan Soto's got family all over New York. I know he loves it because he's already talked about the Met fans. Juan Soto, to me, see, here's what's interesting about the Yankees. You go back to, I guess you can really go back to ever. You go back to Garrick and Babe Ruth as lefties, but that's ridiculous. Go back to the 70s teams and push it forward. I'll do this very fast. I'm not going to bore everybody to tears. But those teams, simply stated, were rooted in 2 things. Lefty pitching for the most part, and obviously pushing this into the 90s. Lefty pitching and lefty bats. Whether it was Reggie, whether it was Nettles, whether it was Paul O'Neill, whether it was Tino, whether it was Posada as the switch hitter, obviously. And then Guidry in the 70s and Pettit and others, of course, sprinkled throughout in the 90s. The Yankees have gotten away on so many fundamental levels. What made them the Yankees? And I don't mean spending. I mean the construction of a team.
Yeah.
And the Yankees, right, even going back to Brett Gardner. I mean, there were too many years where Brett Gardner was like the main lefty power source. It was ridiculous.
And he would swing hard. And he put a few over that short post, but still.
Oh, yeah, no, I've got great respect for Brett Gardner. But
it wasn't easy power.
It wasn't threatening, menacing power. Juan Soto, to me, brings something the Yankees are desperately in need of, okay? That is a legitimate, young, ascending lefty thumper who's one of the greatest players in the game, but also addresses their most pressing need, which has been, very evasive in terms of filling it for basically 25 years. Left field. I mean, I talked about this the other day. So far, there's been 9 left fielders this year on the New York Yankees. And not to mention, even when they were winning, it was a revolving door. Darryl, Shane Spencer, Ricky Leday, Ruben Rivera. They have not been able to fill that. You put Soto in left field, you get Judge healthy, whenever that is. He's in right, Bader's in center, best outfield in baseball. Soto's the move.
PT, Shohei Ohtani bats right-handed? Oh, no. He bats lefty as well. And he crushes them out of the ballparks that are bigger, that are not batter-friendly. Shohei Ohtani, if he was a Yankee, I mean, he could maybe bunt home runs over the right field fence in Yankee Stadium. And he shores up your pitching rotation if you have a Nestor Cortez being, somewhat fallible. If you have Garrett Cole's never going to falter, at least in our minds. He's not faltering. So we trust Garrett Cole going forward.
It's all we trust. We don't know what Rodon is yet. He just got back. He just got here.
Or if Rodon, has a little bit of a step back. Shohei Ohtani gives you, if you're a Yankee, every solution except for left field, which you don't mind if you have Shohei Ohtani filling in the scoring droughts that sometimes happen when Aaron Judge goes quiet, right? So when I think about, especially now that we're hearing from Boone's brother.
I know, Brett Boone is going out there spilling the beans.
That Aaron Judge might be back soon after the All-Star break. Think about the Yankees lineup and their rotation with Shohei Ohtani. So I hear what you're saying. Juan Soto is tantalizing. He's younger.
He's 24.
Ohtani just turned 29, I think, on the day after Independence Day. And so he's older, but he still feels young. Like Shohei Ohtani doesn't feel like he's 30 to me. You look at him and he looks, powerful and virile, and I don't know.
Now, what does Juan Soto feel like to you?
Well,
more virile and younger.
I don't see Juan Soto. That's the problem.
Yeah, you don't have to see him.
And I know what he is. He's a World Series champion already. He's played all over the outfield. I don't know if he's played center.
He's not a center fielder.
He's played right field. He's played left field. He leads the league every year, it seems like, and walks.
83 so far this year. Yep.
So he's got a good eye, great on base percentage.
It's phenomenal. He's a great player.
You throw him in this lineup, it creates opportunities for every other big bat to get an RBI. Because he's an athlete and he can run.
Yeah.
And
so can Ohtani. Ohtani can run. But yes,
true, but I don't see Ohtani
as
that guy. But my point is that Shohei Ohtani, as a Yankee, makes Hal, even though it's going to cost him a lot of money, it makes Hal stop worrying about finances. I mean, we hit this with the Mets yesterday, but if he was a Yankee, the money that they would make on Shohei Ohtani would be enormous.
Fantastic.
It would be enormous.
Not going to my pocket.
You pair him with Aaron Judge, so you got righty power, you got lefty power, you got a dominant ace on the mound. It's not even a question.
I think it is.
If you're a Yankee fan, who you want.
Here's
Juan Soto's interesting. I give you that.
Okay. Oh, what a massive concession on your part. One of the great young hitters in baseball. It's interesting.
Compared to Shohei Ohtani.
Listen, it sounds ludicrous, but I truly believe this. And listen, let's push this out. All right. So let's look at it this way. First of all, if Juan Soto got here for Friday's game, which he's not going to be here. I'm just saying he's not going to be here Friday. But if he was, he's the number 3 hitter. And he's the number 3 hitter for the next 10 years. Okay. Is Shohei Ohtani the number 3 hitter for the next 10 years? The answer is no. And I think where you and I fundamentally split, of course, the dynamic nature of Ohtani, the two-way stud, short term, it's more appealing. Unlike, I think you and some others, I just don't think he's going to do it much longer. I don't. So the attraction, the pull, the appeal of Ohtani, which I obviously get, we've never seen anything. He's a freak. We've never seen anything like this. I don't think he's going to be the freak that we're watching this year a whole lot longer. I know Soto's going to be the Yankees 3-hitter for a decade.
Well, let's take an aside here for a second. The Padres, just traded for Juan Soto. This happened a year ago.
And they're underachieving, so they've got to figure out what they're going to do.
No, you are. And they've spent a ton of money because Manny Machado already re-signed, right? So he already re-signed. They got a lot of money on their books already. And that's what Soto still under arbitration. He hasn't signed a big deal yet. And if he does, the Padres are really going to be outspending what they historically and probably even realistically can spend, right? And so the question becomes, this is a side question now, what is the real urgency for the Padres to move on from Juan Soto if they keep staying as underachiever? Now, they just meet the Mets going into the All-Star break, so maybe they're feeling good about themselves, but is this a reality? I know Jeter said it. And Jeter's connected. Hell, he was part owner, for a few years down in Miami. So he's connected. He's likely still connected with the Yankees in some capacity. But what's the reality of Juan Soto being an ex-Padre this quickly? They just traded for him a year ago.
I think it's fairly strong. I truly do. I think it's incredibly doable. I think that, the Padres, they couldn't even, this is what I get for always bagging on the Mets. The Mets couldn't even help me out last weekend. Like, if the Mets would have swept the Padres, this would have been an easier conversation.
So true.
You know what I mean? Like, that you win 2 out of 3, and maybe that's the spark, that's the wind behind the sails of the Padres that sets them off to 93 wins, and they wind up, getting like the second or the top wild card, and then this Juan Soto stuff is just a complete waste of time. So thank you, Mets. No, I think that it's real. I truly do. I think that he would be completely open to playing for the Yankees. Matter of fact, I think he would want to. And that's, to me, the justification for Soto. Not that you can't justify giving up a ton of prospects for Ohtani. Of course you can. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Ohtani's amazing. I just think when you look at a positional need, how old he is, the lefty, I know Ohtani's a lefty as well. The lefty bat in Yankee Stadium, it's everything that they have been missing. And this notion, like, I feel like when we talk about Ohtani, we stretched this out 7-8 years like he's going to be an ace for 7 years and an MVP, concurrently. He's not.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's not. He can't do this forever.
Concede that there is a complication with Shohei Ohtani unless you move on from Giancarlo Stanton. Because if Shohei Ohtani is here, he does not play the field.
Exactly.
At all.
I know.
Hasn't done it in, 5 years or 4 years?
I don't think that's not.
We looked at
years.
it last year. I can't remember, but it was a long time. I remember trying to find, when did he play in the outfield? It had been a long time, and it was only 1 or 2 games even when he did it back then. So it's been a long. So he doesn't play right field, doesn't play left field. He doesn't play outfield, period. He is only the DH, which creates a Giancarlo Stanton complication. Which could be a complication already because Aaron Judge, coming back from a torn whatever, he had a ligament in his big toe, might also have to be a DH for a lot of the time. So it creates a DH backlog and not enough players to play in the outfield. So that is a complication. But with that being said, you put Shohei Ohtani at DH every day over Giancarlo Stanton. Every day.
Oh yeah.
And if Aaron Judge,
But what are you going to do with Stanton? I mean, that's easy to say on the radio. What are you just going to go sit in the corner? We'll see in 4 years when your contract's up.
Play right.
No, he can't play right field.
But he's got to. But he's got to.
He can't.
Because you need the bat, and you take the defensive runs saved, which is going to be obviously negative if he's out in the outfield on an everyday basis. You take that as an operational cost. You know what I mean?
Not if you want to win a World Series, you don't.
Well,
just as a means to get him in the lineup, you do it, but it doesn't mean. I mean, you address one issue, and I think you create another one. Number one, if Stanton plays a week straight in the outfield, he's going down for a month. You can book it. He's physically incapable of playing baseball.
I want to agree with you, but I also want to give him the benefit of the doubt.
He hasn't earned it. I'm done with that. You can do it. There's no way. Benefit of the doubt. Why?
He's never been asked. He hasn't been asked to do it consistently.
Oh, come on. You got to stop saying this. You've been saying every time you say this, I tell you that you're wrong. And when they try to play him in the outfield, he gets hurt within a week.
Get hurt
Would you please
by playing
stop?
in the outfield. He got hurt because he's trying to be Anthony Volpe and take a single into a double.
Okay, but you know what my response to that is. I can't prove it, but I strongly surmise that the exertion in the outfield prior to the deceleration into second base,
maybe.
You know what I mean? Like that was the impetus behind him getting hurt on the most innocuous movement that any athlete's ever made in my life.
This is where the bench coach should have told A-Rod. I mean, not A-Rod. Should have told Stanton. It doesn't matter what's happening. Slide in the second. Get on your ass and slide in the second. Do not slow down.
Like literally, you basically have to slide even if there's no play.
That's right.
Listen, if you're just tuning in, and what Jeter said is incredibly interesting because, there's a lot of nonsense that's spewed on TV for sure. Jeter's not going to be one of those cats. Derek is not going on there and saying something that's good, and he knows it's going to be hijacked and twisted a million different ways. He's no dummy, and he is incredibly piped in. He is conservative by nature, and he's very calculated and very cunning.
History tells us he's not just doing this to do it.
Correct. That is not there. That's the anti-Derek Jeter. It might be A-Rod. But that's not Jeter's MO. It's never going to be. He's not going to change just because he's suddenly on Fox. All right, he's fundamentally who he is. I believe there's real traction here. And for me, for all the reasons we just said, I would take Soto over Ohtani. Tiki thinks I'm nuts. It's all good. 877-337-6666. All right, let's start with Sid in Riverdale. What's going on, Sidski? How are you?
Hey, Tiki and Tierney, how are you? I'm fine. How about yourself?
Very well,
good.
thank you,
What's
buddy.
up, dude?
I definitely agree with you, Brandon. And right now, the Yankees need that fix right now. Because where we're going to go from here if we don't do something now? And as far as Aaron Judge, who's to say he is coming back? And you want to know something, Tiki? Let me ask you guys a question, and I don't know how much this makes any sense. With all the major sports that are out there in New York, and with Judge's toe injury, which athlete would be most affected by all the sports that are out there today? Which between basketball, soccer, hockey,
You mean
football,
with a toe injury? You mean?
with a toe, which athlete would be the most affected?
I'd say Jalen Brunson, given his foot.
I would say a basketball player
footwork.
because of the jumping. Now, obviously, baseball. Thank you, Sid. Appreciate your call. Baseball is also because it's the right toe for a right-handed hitter
And pitcher.
and
That's
pitcher.
your push-off foot.
True, but yes, you're right.
You know what I mean?
That's a great point. If
Yeah.
it's a pitcher, forget it. It's over. Pitcher would have to have the surgery or
Well, that's
sit out.
another reason to do Soto and not Ohtani. If Ohtani strains a ligament in his big toe, he's cooked.
He's not going. He's not running into the wall at Dodger Stadium. But we've seen these videos of Aaron Judge swinging. They've started to really detail it, how that right toe ligament tear or strain, whatever the heck it is, how he really gets up on his toe when he swings. Like all that torque comes from his toe. So it's either baseball, but I think it's basketball because of the jumping and landing. You start jumping off of a jacked up toe in basketball, you're going to start landing awkwardly, right? You're going to land to try to not land on that foot, which is going to you're going to end up tearing your other ACL or something. You're going to end up hurting your other side of your body.
Yeah.
Because of all the jumping that happens in basketball.
I mean, how would it impact the guys like somebody like Shesterkin and net? I mean, it's like the only, not that I played every sport well, but that's like the one thing that I never even tried, so I can't even really
But I think it would be
much of a guess
I think
for a
with
goalie.
the skate on, you know what I mean? Like you could put a steel plate underneath your foot so it doesn't really move.
Yeah.
And you have there's another lift on top of it.
Maybe.
You're not as connected to the ground.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. That's true.
In hockey.
Yeah, so it's a little alleviated.
Whereas
That's a good
baseball,
point.
you're really connected to the ground. Basketball, you absolutely are connected to the ground. Football too, but I mean, football players play through stuff like this all the time. I mean, I did it, so we know that they do. So I think it's either basketball or a hitter or pitcher, right-handed hitter or pitcher in baseball.
All right, 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guarantee lowest priced on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. So we present to you, if the Yankees are faced with a choice here now in terms of a midseason acquisition, Ohtani or Soto. I'm going Soto. My man's going Ohtani. So we're split. What do you guys think? 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan.